married couple in New Orleans. We're going to talk one story. So one story, one segue. This is whoop. It was nice. Shit, flying all over the place.
1 + 1 = 1.
What's that?
You just said one story, one segue, so I just wanted to say something. Well, this wheel spins. Limerick! We've got a limerick for the story from
There
Oregon.
There once was a couple from the Big Easy. I don't know. New Orleans might rhyme with something. Anyway, Smithsonian Mag has this story. Is SmithsonianMag.com. The Smithsonian. Sonia Anderson, a married couple in New Orleans, found a stone in their backyard. It turned out to be an ancient Roman soldier's gravestone. What the frick? The piece bears a Latin inscription describing the legionaries' service aboard a warship. This is from a couple of weeks ago, but I guess I've been saving it. Editor's note from October 15th. After the story's publication, a former owner of the home came forward with new information about the gravestone. Ooh. There's a link to an article explaining more of it. All right.
Breaking news about the big ancient stone.
Breaking news from a week ago, but hey, 6 days ago. Let's see now. That comes down to 7 or 8 minutes. Maybe we'll do that, and then we'll just glance at the solve of the case. Anyway, while tending their home garden in New Orleans last spring, a married couple found a stone that looked archaic and was engraved in Latin. Experts say it's 1900-year-old headstone from Italy. Wow, which once marked the grave of a Roman soldier named Sextus Cognius Venus. Daniela Santoro, an anthropologist. What? Beerus, I'm sorry. Beerus.
I was just being childish because you said Sextus.
Sextus Cognius Beerus is his name. What a name. They had some cruel names. They were all called Biggest Dickus and Naughtiest Maximus. Daniela Santoro, an anthropologist at Tulane University, and her husband, Aaron Lawrence, found the stone behind their home in New Orleans' historic Carlton neighborhood. We didn't know how historic. Apparently, Roman soldiers lived there at one time. No, just kidding. At first, Santoro worried that the stone indicated her house was built atop a cemetery, so she contacted the Preservation Resource Center of New Orleans. New Orleans does have a history of building over graveyards. Of course, New Orleans graveyards are above ground. They cannot bury people in the ground because the water table is basically the ground. It's right there. So, yeah. That's why New Orleans is slowly sinking. It's the most sinking city in America. It's basically going to be underwater within 100 years. Unless we do something. I don't know. Move it, I guess. New Orleans does have a history of building over graveyards, according to the PRC report by Dr. Ryan Gray, an archaeologist at the University of New Orleans. But many of these hidden cemeteries have already been mapped, and there probably isn't one under Santoro's house. Looking for answers, Gray focused on the stone's Latin inscription. He sent a photo of the piece to Harold Statler, an archaeologist at the University of Innsbruck in Austria, and Statler shared it with his brother, a Latin teacher. Simultaneously, Santoro shared the pictures with Suzanne S. Lucnia, a classicist at Tulane. They quickly came independently to the same conclusion. Not only was this a Roman funerary inscription for a sailor named Sextus Congenius Verus, but the circa 2nd century inscription had been reported before. Wow, that's interesting. Somebody had reported it. Blah, 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 blah. According to the report, the stone's inscription roughly translates to the spirits of the dead for Sextus Congenius Verus, soldier for the Praetorian Fleet Messenicis from the tribe Natio of the Bessi, who lived 42 years, served 22 in the military. Alidius Carus and Vidius Longius, his heirs made this for him well deserving. Again, there's a hell of a damn lot of information, right? That's more information you get in modern graves. You don't get that kind of shit in modern graves. You get like day they born, day they died, not a goddamn thing. That's usually
you love the dogs. I don't know, something like that.
Yeah. Fuck it, we can't afford that shit. It's a stone. I mean, it's like, okay, they're dead now. They're not going to bring them back to life. Apparently, the deceased was from Thrace, an ancient region of the southeastern Balkans, and he spent over 2 decades serving on the trireme, a warship propelled by oars, which means slaves, of course, named Oceopius for the Greco-Roman god of medicine. Ooh, we have gods. The stone matches the description of an artifact once reported missing from the National Archaeological Museum of Civitavecchia, about 40 miles northwest of Rome. The port city was heavily bombed by Allied forces during World War II, and the museum and its collection was destroyed, not to reopen until 1970. Santoro and her contact spoke with Tim Tess Davis, the executive director of the Antiquities Coalition, a nonprofit specializing in repatriation of cultural heritage. They decided to hand the stone over to the FBI's art crime team, which will take over the process of returning the stone to Civitavecchia. With the stone itself out of their hands, Gray and his colleagues came back to the question of how it ended up in a backyard in Carrollton. He writes, those census records they found, the house was owned by one family for much of the 20th century, that of Frank Simon, a shoe company manager. This is why we're going to the next story, which is the mystery to Haman is solved. Let's do this one. Yes. Thanks to viral news coverage, experts are unraveling the mystery of how an ancient Roman soldier's gravestone ended up in the garden of New Orleans home. The untangling began when Erin Scott O'Brien received a phone call from her husband earlier this month. Just saw a news story. You're not going to believe it, he said. Just watch and call me back. The news story is about the home the couple had previously owned together, a shotgun house in New Orleans' historic Carrollton neighborhood. O'Brien also recognized the article's focus, a stone engraved in Latin, in which she had inherited from her grandfather and used as a garden decor. She assumed it was simply a collectible. But according to the news coverage, it's actually a 1900-year-old grave marker for a Roman soldier. I think her grandfather must have looted it during the war. What do you think? Huh? Last spring, the house current owners, we already mentioned them, got in touch with Dr. Ryan Gray, an archaeologist at the University of New Orleans. The fact that it was in Latin and really just gave us a pause, right? I mean, you see something like that and you say, okay, it's not an ordinary thing. The investigation began, as Gray wrote in PRC's magazine, Preservation and Print. He and Santoro enlisted the help of Harold Statler, an archaeologist of Austria's University of Innsbruck, and Susan Lusnia, a classicist at Tulane. We've gone through this already. According to the tablets, Sextus Congenius Verus was a 42-year-old soldier of the Praetorian fleet, Misnenensis, who served on a ship called Asclepius. As Gray wrote, the grave marker was likely lost in the chaos after the war. After liberating Rome, American soldiers passed through that city I can't pronounce. Researchers theorized that an American soldier found the gravestone and brought it home as a souvenir. It turns out they may have been right. O'Brien's grandfather was Master Sergeant Charles E. Paddock, who was stationed in Italy during World War II. There, Paddock married Adele Vincenza Paoli, a Italian artist in 1946. The couple eventually settled in New Orleans, Gentility neighborhood, and Paddock taught music at Loyola University in New Orleans. Mystery solved. So, O'Brien's uncle Charlie tells WWL-TV that he grew up seeing the Latin inscribed stone, which is on display in a cabinet in the Gentili home, but his family never talked about the piece's origin. When Charles and Abel Paddock died in the 80s, the gravestone was passed down to O'Brien's mom, who later passed it to O'Brien. I thought it was a piece of art. O'Brien tells Preservation in Print's Daniel Monteverde, I had no idea it was a 2,000-year-old relic. When O'Brien and her ex-husband bought the house in Carrollton in 2004, they planted a tree to mark the occasion. They placed the stone nearby. According to WWL-TV, when they sold the house in 2018, they'd forgotten the gravestone in the yard. Wow. Santoro and the team of researchers handled the artifact over the FBI's, blah, blah, blah. We know that part. So there we know the story. This lady's grandfather looted it because I guess he felt entitled. I married an Italian woman. By golly, I'm going to take a gravestone. I don't know. There's your story. Let's have a limerick.
Let's limerick this out. In the Balkans, a soldier so bold, with stories of battles retold, maybe. By a stone, ancient grave, where the echoes still wave, he finds peace in the legends of old.
Okay. A guy's been dead for 2,000 years is totally unaware of this.
He would be very, very taken out by what's going on.
He is quite stone dead by now, so I wouldn't too worry about defending his. Again, antiquities need to be returned to their original place, or people 1,000 years from now will be like, "What's a Roman gravestone doing in New Orleans? That makes no sense."
Yeah, it doesn't, yeah. And then
The Romans were here.
People will think the Romans were here 5,000 years ago.
Yeah.
You have
We'll
to
get
put
the
a
people that are
plaque
hunting
saying
down.
this was moved from this location to this location because of this. Yeah.
Let's get the ancient aliens people on this. Let's get them on that. The same people, ancient aliens, the same one that thinks Noah's Ark was a real thing and it landed somewhere. But
Okay,
let's not get down that